Coming up this week on the Nintendo Directors Podcast, we come to the end of Miiverse as we know it, break down the recent Nindies Direct, check out the sweet soundtrack from the Book of Unwritten Tales, and more.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Brad.
We're two middle school band directors.
And you're listening to
Nintendo Directors.
Hello and welcome once again to Nintendo Directors Podcast. This is episode 3004, and the date is September 5th, 2017. This is being recorded, actually, it was September 5th. I'm reading from the paper, the digital paper in front of me on my computer. No, it is no longer September 4th. The date is now September 9th, and this is coming to you a little bit late. I'm Mark, and my co-host here.
Oh, I'm Brad. Nice to see you.
And we're recording a little bit late this week just because of job and family requirements that pushed this back a little bit. But that's all right. They gave us more time to digest what we were going to be talking about anyways. So it's going to be an extra good episode for you this morning. So, and it is this morning.
Morning.
It is this morning. This is the first time I think we've recorded this early, bright and early. So it's good. I just finished my coffee in my Ninja Turtles mug, and it was delicious. So
I don't do coffee, so it's you never know what you're gonna get from
yeah. Yep. No, I for me, coffee started once I had kids, so I've been a coffee drinker for 5 years. So yeah,
I made it through 4 years of college and my first 8 years of teaching without it, so I think it'll be
yep. That's a good way to go. I don't like being. It doesn't really wake me up. It just makes me have to go to the bathroom, which in turn wakes me up. So I guess it wakes me up. Maybe whatever. All right, we're getting off topic. We're here to talk about video games because video games are great. So
okay.
All right. Well, that's
cool.
a brief intro. Let's move on. Let's get on to the news.
And the news this week, we've got quite a few things to talk about. We had the Nindies Direct that went on this week. We got a couple of other stories, and of course Mario Rabbids came out this week.
Yeah.
So lots to get into. But first, I would be remiss if I did not remind you about our sponsor for this week. This week, the news is brought to you by Pocket Fridge. You heard of this? Perfect for preserving that last buffalo wing or that last bite of coleslaw on the go. Get yours today.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they don't have a battery pack, so it has to be plugged in. So just get a really long extension cord. But thank you, Pocket Fridge, for helping out.
Yes. Yes, there we go. Okay, so the first story we're going to talk about this week, of course, is Miiverse. That crazy, completely Nintendo thing from the Wii U days. Which I think that's where we should start. I mean, obviously, the story is that it's shutting down, coming up on November 8th, which is pretty crazy. But, I mean, the story of the Wii U is, of course, a sort of a sad one. But, it had several amazing games on it, and yet,
anytime I talk to someone that bashes the Wii U, I always assume they didn't have one because they're just like, man, there weren't any games for it. I'm like, there weren't a lot of games is what you mean to say, but the games that were there were great. It was so good. But
yeah, Nintendo does not disappoint with first-party titles, which unfortunately is about all you had.
Well, that's where it's true. Yes. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, okay, but Miiverse itself, I think it was a very kind of unique take on, system UI, I guess you could kind of call that.
Yeah, with social media aspects of it. Like, I liked Miiverse. It was a little clunky.
Very.
But I'm trying to be kind.
And slow.
It was incredibly clunky. But what it did was a really good idea, and like you said, the very uniquely Nintendo.
Right.
It reeked in a good way of Nintendo, and also in the bad way. But it's kind of crazy that it's ending. It's just I loved my Wii U.
It could have been so cool though, because the definitive experience, of course, in a negative sense, actually, was you're playing this game and you're like, I've got this new Miiverse thing. It might be cool. I just did something really cool in my game. I took a screenshot and I want to post it.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd push the home button, wait for about 5 seconds. Then you'd push the Miiverse button.
Yep.
And then you'd wait for about 12 seconds.
Yep.
And then you'd get in there, you'd type something maybe, or draw something, which that we can talk about in a second too. But and then you'd post it, you wait another 5 seconds, and then you're like, okay, I'm posted on Miiverse. And then you go back into your game, you start playing, and then if you want to find out if anybody commented or did your post or whatever, then you'd have to like stop your game.
Yep.
Go into me.
Yep.
And go through that whole process again.
My favorite would be like you do that, and then as you finally get back into the game, you forgot that you were about to take a hard right in Mario Kart 8, and then you just drive off the edge of the course, and it's like, oh, come on. Miiverse, like, took too long for me to remember.
Right. But yeah, I think one of the unique legacies that unfortunately will be lost of Miiverse was all the artwork that was created by it. And you know, there's some just people that were so incredibly talented, even on that little
limited
low
format
quality screen.
Yeah. Yep, it was sweet. I loved just scrolling through sometimes, being like, man, that person doesn't know what they're doing, but that person does. Like it was a good compare and contrast, because you'd get the people that tried that just shouldn't have, but like me. But.
Yeah, or even just the random comments and stuff that there was some subtle implementation into different games. The stuff in Super Mario Brothers U.
Yep.
Excuse me, New Super Mario Brothers U.
That was cool. It was simple, but it was cool.
Yeah. I didn't use this, but in Zelda Wind Waker HD, there was a way you could send
the messages
bottles to your friend. Yeah, the messages.
Yep, I did that, but I got it so late in the cycle that nobody was sending messages. It was just a dead universe for me. So,
speaking of which, can we just say Wind Waker HD is just phenomenal. I mean, the original game was amazing, but the HD version is just takes it even to another level, which when you're talking about a Zelda game is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. It was fun. It felt good. It felt like
Swift Sail saved it.
Yes. Oh man, yes. I think with the Wii U, and it's now that it's kind of the sun is setting or has set, I think it'll be looked back on by kind of like the Dreamcast is. The people that had the Dreamcast knew that it was a good system, and not enough people adopted it because the Xbox and the GameCube and the PlayStation 2 all came out, shortly thereafter and just destroyed it. But people that had the Dreamcast swear by it, and I feel like that's the badge of honor Wii U owners will be able to have. It'll be like, yeah, but you missed out. Like, I have one of the few consoles of this floating around right now, and it's good. It's not a Virtual Boy. It's a Wii U, and it's a good kind of failure on Nintendo's part that had some amazing titles. But Miiverse is one of the distinctive Wii U things, and it's ending. That's.
By the way, I saw what you did there. You missed out. Okay.
What?
You missed.
Yes. Yeah. Oh.
You.
See, I'm punny when I don't even mean to be. So that's
7 a.m. Okay, here we go.
Yep. I told you, coffee does nothing for me. It just makes me have to go to the bathroom. We'll be having a bathroom break at some point here. No, all right. Okay. Moving on.
Yeah.
So the next bit of news: Mario is no longer a plumber.
What?
Yeah. Okay. According to Nintendo, Mario is no longer a plumber. That was on an IGN article. And it's he is a, what do they call him, a silver or gray fox now? He's got some gray hair, but he's no longer a plumber.
Like
whatever. I don't know. He's a plumber.
How many times have you actually done something plumbing related in a Mario game? I don't.
Right, but he's still
other than going through pipes.
He can traverse pipes like a plumbing pro. This is
right. Like all of the plumbers that I know that just jump right into those pipes.
Yeah, the only human thing that I know that goes through pipes is something that I don't want to say Mario's that.
Right.
Because I love Mario, but I don't know. He began life as a carpenter, and now he was a plumber, and then a time traveler, unfortunately,
and just a jumper.
That's right. He was just a jumper, jump man.
He should have gone into the Olympics.
Yeah, he should have.
Wait.
Did a couple times, I think now. But he's no longer a plumber.
Surprisingly, actually.
Yeah.
They just keep making those games.
They
know what I'm saying?
They do. It's something you can churn out pretty quickly now. So, anyways. Yeah, so there's that. He's no longer a plumber.
Yeah.
Cool, neat.
So the big story this week, of course, was that it was last week Wednesday. No, a week ago Wednesday now.
Yeah.
Nintendo had a Nindies Direct.
Yes. Woo.
Which
all right.
which is great. Yeah. The Switch has become kind of a home for a lot of these places, or at least it seems. I was just listening to another podcast. I think it was GameScoop the other day that made a great point that for an indie developer these days, you can try to release your game on the App Store and just get completely drowned out. However many 100 games come out every day or whatever, and then or you can go on Steam, which is not quite as bad, but
pretty close.
Still, like, yeah. I heard a statistic that in 2016, like 40% of all games on Steam were released in 2016.
Jeez. That's just insane.
Yeah, I know, right? And that, or you can release it on the Switch and like
get a lot of visibility,
get some airtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're it's a lot smaller platform, but then you find these little successes, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And so a lot of developers are flocking to that. So we just need some of the bigger third parties to jump on board too, which is starting to happen, I think, with the success of the system.
Right.
So anyway, lots of great games on here. I have them all written down on the sheet here.
Yeah.
We might mention all of them by name. We might not necessarily
riff on all
go
them.
into a super lot of detail. But the first one, Super Meat Boy Forever.
Oh man, I got a quick story to tell about Super Meat Boy.
The original?
Yeah, because it's
okay.
Because Brad and I, we went to grad school together. We did undergrad and grad school together. We were out west, and it was my third year. And one of the things we had to do for grad school was attend all these lectures. They were fantastic. Most of them were fantastic. And by your third year, you have to have a final project that includes a lot of notes in a nice format on these lectures. But you need to get a certain number on, a French horn, a certain number of lectures on trumpet. And we had a trumpet or a French horn lecture, I think. And I already had my French horn lectures done for my final project, so I was like, okay, I'm going to work on formatting my final project, and then my finger wandered over to Super Meat Boy on my computer, and I just started playing that. And people behind me,
keyboard and mouse, or with your keyboard.
Yeah, the people behind, trying to play it on keyboard and it even says like before you do that, don't do that. You're going to be stupid if you try to do it on your keyboard. I was like, whatever, that's all I have. So I'm playing it. And I refuse to not run. So I'm just running as fast as I can through these levels and dying a bunch. But people behind me were starting to watch. And as I beat a level, they'd start like cheering for me quietly. They're like, no, keep it down. I don't want to get in trouble for this. But yeah, it was so addictive. And it's such a good game. So yeah, Super Meat Boy Forever. And it looks really good. I love the art style. It's a slightly different look to it. And it looks fun and clean, like clean look, but lots of blood. But,
Yeah, and speaking of running, this is an endless runner. It's a little bit different than the last one.
Yep.
So you'll be good if you like the running.
Yeah, because I only like to run in the game.
Yeah, right.
I don't take my time.
Yeah, I seem to remember because I think we were roommates that year out at ABC, and you showed me like the very last level that you had beaten or something, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep.
And all the times you died on
it.
It saves all your deaths.
Right. That's the best part of it is watching that playthrough at the end. The only thing I didn't like about the Super Meat Boy was the final level, the boss level. Just like suddenly it's a different game. Like, oh, it's just pattern recognition or memorization. So that was kind of frustrating. But yeah. So Super Meat Boy Forever, and then Shovel Knight, King of Cards.
All right.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Shovel Knight's awesome.
It's so good.
All of the things, and I believe this is the last promised free DLC for the game.
Yep.
If you owned the whole kind of package there.
Right.
And so yeah, it's pretty sweet. They but having it on the Switch makes it even better. This is obviously King Knight's his prequel of how he came to be part of the Order of No Quarters.
Yeah.
And so that sounds like it's cool to think about, like you think about it like a Mega Man game. Where did Cutman come from?
Yeah.
Like what's his background?
Yep.
Where did Bomb Man come? So this is kind of providing sort of the things within Shovel Knight that kind of have that.
Yeah, I love Shovel Knight. So, and the soundtrack and
Oh man, that's awesome.
Done by Vert, I think is who did it. The guy that did the Double Dragon Neo, I think it's the same guy, but
Jake Kaufman,
and he goes by VIRT, Vert. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
sure.
so good. Anyways, okay, move.
So I do love his music. I love how he uses that 8-bit
sound palette.
The palette,
yeah.
But also he uses classical sensibilities in it too.
Yep.
You know, he has a lot of great, harmonic and chord structure and does modulations.
Yep.
And
it's brilliant writing. Brilliant writing. So
it's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Mom hid my game. I honestly hadn't heard of this one, but looking at it for like 5 seconds on the video, I was like, oh, I get this.
Yep.
And it looks kind of fun.
Yeah, you can't go into that game by just looking at a still frame of it, because you'll go,
right.
No, but when you watch the video, you're like, maybe.
Yeah. It seems like it's creative,
Yep.
You gotta find all the weird places where your mom might have hid your 3DS.
Yep.
Or, I think it is a 3DS, is it?
Yeah,
or something like
that.
I think
so.
And so yeah, kind of unique, and it's coming to Switch. So
yeah.
great.
The next one,
Golf
Story.
Oh,
yeah, Golf Story.
Yeah.
The golf RPG, which is it sounds really.
We live in a world where we can get a golf RPG.
Yep, and
life is good.
This one really speaks to me because I do really enjoy golf video games, and I love RPGs, and it's like my favorite Simpsons line where Lisa and Marge and Grandpa Simpson are all sitting around complaining, I'm a little girl, no one listens to me. Grandpa Simpson, I'm an old man, no one listens to me. And then Homer walks in, I'm a white male, age 18 to 45. Everyone listens to me, no matter how stupid the idea. And then he grabs this can, and it says nuts and gum together at last, and he pops it in his mouth. And I wonder if this is a nuts and gum together at last golf RPG, but it golf RPG. Oh man, it looks good. I'm probably gonna play it. So
yeah, yeah, and it includes all the different types of golf. So go for it.
There's mini, there's disc.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited for it. The look of it feels like something I would want to play. So. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
Floor Kids.
Yes.
Wacky and weird, but a breakdancing game.
Yep.
With kids.
Yep.
But apparently the soundtrack is by some famous mixer guy. What's his name? And I didn't write it down.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Famous mixer guy.
It was mentioned in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what his name is for sure.
Apologies to Sir Famous Mixer Guy. But
right.
Yeah. No, it looks cool. The art style of it looks cool. I mean, if it's a simple enough game to play, it might be something that I would play like on the Switch on the go. I don't think I would ever sit and playing on my TV much, but it does look fun. I think I would play it on the go for sure.
Okay. What about Wolverblade? Did you look at this at all?
That one briefly, but I think you might have looked at that more. So why don't you?
I think really that's all they gave us was very briefly.
Yeah.
It's like an arcade style brawler,
Yep.
Middle Ages kind of setting.
Yep.
That's really about all I got on.
Yeah, I mean the combat. The combat looked kind of cool. The art style looks really cool. I think, but I don't know. Yeah, well that one. It's piqued my interest, but not. I'm not a for sure buy on that one yet. But
sure.
And then Polybridge. The bridge building simulator is coming because that's on every platform. You need a bridge building simulator. But there was I can't even remember. There was something about the music in it that reminded me of something, and I'm blanking on it now. But the music did sound kind of cool. I remember that. I remember liking the music, but yeah, it's a bridge building simulator.
If physics are your game, then knock yourself out.
Again, I do enjoy. I've played a few bridge building simulators, but only on the go. So that would be if the price is right, I'll get that. So the next one I am so excited for. So excited for Kentucky Route Zero. That came out. It's an adventure game. It came out a few years back. This will include the 5th and final episode. And I first heard about this on the podcast Gamers with Jobs, and went and checked it out because they were just raving about it. And I don't own it, but I watched a Let's Play video, an LP on that of the first episode, and it looks so good, and it plays like an adventure game made today should play.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
So I don't know too much about it. I've seen some trailers. Looks very atmospheric. Looks very kind of strange. It looks really interesting. My only wonder is it some of these games, like they get so weird, they get too weird for their own good just because they're trying to be weird.
Okay.
Did you think after your first episode that it was like, okay, I can sort of understand at least what's going on here?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
The only thing is sometimes those don't tie up neatly in the end, so it'll be interesting to see how this fifth final episode does button everything up. But it's good, and I'm glad we're getting it. It's Johnny come lately, but that's okay. That is a definite buy for me.
Okay, great. What about Earth Atlantis?
Maybe that's
which sounds a weird name.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, these indies are kind of you never know what you're gonna get. So yeah, it's kind of an underwater shoot 'em up.
Yep.
I think you're a submarine, and yeah, you shoot them all up.
Yeah.
Under the water.
I guess for me, the underwater shooter. What was that? Steel Diver for the 3DS?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That one, I mean, I never played it. Did you ever play that?
No,
It looked cool, but it was, it felt like it might be too underwater based, like too slow moving. I don't know.
Most people just bought that because it was one of the only games that was
right.
really available at the 3DS launch.
Right. And so I'm wondering
I mean, there wasn't a lot of great options. So.
There weren't. No, not at launch. Earth Atlantis, I wonder if it's going to feel the same as what Steel Diver at least looked like to me. The art style, though, I will say, is very indie and very cool. I'm all about unique art styles. Aesthetic for me is a huge part of why I would even play a game. So it looks really good. I don't know if it'll play like I want it to, but
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, see what I did there?
Yes.
Oh, 7 a.m. Okay. Next Up Hero. It's called Next Up Hero. And I wrote notes about this. I honestly don't remember what this one looks like, but I wrote, everybody dies, but their legacy sort of lives on through other people or something.
Yeah.
You remember what this one was about?
I just remember it was kind of cartoony looking, and I think it played like an isometric game with that 2.5D look.
But it's something like if you die, you come back as an enemy or a friend for other people in the game.
Yeah.
I forget.
And I think, isn't there like... We shouldn't be asking each other questions on this.
Right.
I was about to say, isn't there like multiplayer aspect of it too, and like team switching or something? I don't know.
Clearly, we've got the lowdown in this one. Yeah, we got it all figured out.
It looks cute. I remember it looking cute and potentially fun. Yeah. I mean, it seemed the idea of like dying and then in taking over someone else. Did you ever play Rogue Legacy?
I didn't play it, but I know what it is. Yeah, that's roguelike.
Yep,
yeah.
and like you're carrying on the legacy of your.
You come back as with a different characteristic each time.
Yeah, like nearsightedness sometimes, or like it was kind of fun. I don't know, but yeah. Anyways,
cool.
All right,
we gotta keep moving. Here is SteamWorld Dig 2.
Yep,
the second, the sequel.
I played SteamWorld Dig I played one session of it, played an hour. It felt I knew what I was gonna do in it, and I wasn't willing to invest more than that into it, but
I didn't give it enough time. I played it once. I think I got it in one of the humble bundles.
Yeah.
I probably should go back to it, at least try it, because I've heard great things about it, but I didn't really. I probably played it for like 15 minutes, something like that. So
yeah,
I should go back to that at some point. But yeah, if you're into that, SteamWorld Dig 2, it looks really cool. The graphic style is fantastic. And
yeah, they know how to make a game look good. Those people. So.
Oh yeah. Mulaka, this one is interesting. It's one of the bigger ones, I think, in terms of scope and scale on the Direct. It's a third-person action-adventure game. It has a kind of a different art style, but you're like this Native American type person, and it's like I don't know if caveman is the word, but you're kind of going around and you're hunting animals and you're seeing. I don't actually know what the main goal of it is. I don't recall exactly, but it looked more like a 3D platformer kind of thing. You're gonna be doing some action adventure stuff, and so yeah, it looks kind of fun.
Yeah, I guess my take on indie games that go into when you're dealing with polygons and 3D animations and whatnot. I don't know. I feel like indie developers, small studios can really nail a 2D game. Once you get into adding a third dimension, then it's tough to make a game with a small studio that, I don't know. I remember the skies looked really beautiful, but the character animations looked they looked fine for like a 2001 game. It just looks rough for me. I don't know. Yeah. I'm fine, totally fine with 2D. People can really bang out some awesome games now. But it's tough.
I think so long as it's reasonably priced.
Yeah.
And you go into it knowing what you're probably going to get.
Yep.
So your expectations aren't too crazy. It's not a Mario platformer. It's not Banjo-Kazooie or anything. It'll be a little scaled down.
Yep.
But for those who are looking for it, looks kind of fun.
Next we
Yono.
Yeah, Yono. Yono Elephant Adventure Game. Cool.
No, they misspelled it. It was
YOLO.
Yeah. 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 Here you go.
Yep.
An elephant adventure game.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Neat.
It says it all, right?
Maybe it'll be fun. I don't know. That one I kind of just let my mind wander on that one, and I don't know.
It is coming out October 12th. That was one of the few hard release dates that we got, I think. So
neat.
That's kind of cool. Neat. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Next, there was Dragon Marked for Death. There's a side-scrolling co-op adventure. Different characters. You get different abilities. I don't know. To me, it looked neat.
Is that the word of the hour?
That's the word of the hour. That's what coffee makes me do.
There you go.
I don't know. That one, I don't know. Again, the
neat.
It was neat. It looked pretty. I thought it looked really nice. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is. And then Battle Chief Brigade. This was kind of a weird mishmash of lots of different things. So it's kind of like an action game where you go out, you're fighting enemies, collecting recipe ingredients. So you're like a side-scrolling action game, and then when you get to a battle, I think you make food.
That was
it's like a match 3 puzzler.
Yeah, that was my impression. Yeah, which.
Someone was just sitting around one day and be like, you know what would be really fun?
I think that idea came about either from an incredibly late night or some really strong drink. Because it's crazy. But again, the art style on that one I think really looks cool. So to me, the look of it draws me in. We'll see if there's gameplay to back it up, but it feels very feels very Japanese. Just.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, but the next one, this is just bonkers.
Yes,
this is totally out there. Morphe's Law.
Yeah, great idea. I saw this a little bit ago too, but go ahead.
So it's a 4x4 multiplayer shooter, third person, I believe, and whatever like body part, like if you're shooting somebody and you shoot them in the head, you take their mass away, and your head will get bigger, essentially.
And their head gets smaller.
Which is brilliant because it makes them harder to hit when they're smaller.
Yep.
But the winner of the game is the person who's the biggest.
Yeah, because you get like your own like statue kind of Morphe that gets bigger and bigger by stealing more mass.
Right. Yeah. So you want to be the biggest or the tallest character at the end, but of course the bigger you get, the bigger the target you are.
Yeah, it's a great way to balance out like. I feel like I could play this game with people that are really good at third-person shooters, and I might have a chance. It levels the playing field to some degree, I would think. I'm sure there are people that are so good that they'll just torch you no matter what. But
For sure.
no, the idea is, I don't know why something like that hasn't been implemented quite yet. I mean, I guess, it's got a little bit of like the Splatoon feel to me, where you ink up enough territory, and then if you're not wanting to, it's not the player versus player combat in that, but like you want to take away their territory, you could do that by inking over their territory. So like slightly similar parallel right there, but not really. It's just it takes that idea and really runs with it, and it looks fun. That's one that I will definitely get.
The only thing I really wasn't keen on was the art style, or like the aesthetic of, the characters look like Day of the Dead kind of people.
Yeah, it's what was that? Guacamelee.
Guacamelee.
It's like a Guacamelee multiplayer shooter.
Grim Fandango kind of style. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I didn't love that, but the idea is fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna try to run through these couple of weeks real quick because I'm running out of time. But so Sausage Sports Club.
Yep.
Speaking of strange names.
Yeah, that will exist. So
mini games. Yep. Done. Light Fingers. This is a weird board game of sorts. Like the board kind of opens itself up as you walk around it. It's like a big mechanical board. It's about thieves, I think.
Yeah.
You're just trying to. You're playing this giant game and you're trying to steal something, I think.
Yeah.
9 Parchments. This is basically Gauntlet.
I'm okay with that. In the world of Trine, I'm okay with both of those things. Right.
Gauntlet and Trine. That's cool. I've played I think I played the second Trine game, which was I didn't finish it, but it was really
I played it with my wife. It was so fun. Really good.
Oh, cool. But, yeah. And then, of course, the last one on the Direct was Travis Strikes Again. Mm-hmm. And this was the sequel to No More Heroes, or another sequel to No More Heroes, because there was No More Heroes 2.
Yep.
Never played any of those games. That I've never really been super keen on the uber violent, crazy stuff. But I'm sure there's an audience for that somewhere.
One other indie I want to talk about that wasn't featured on that, but actually just was confirmed for an October release. I don't think it was featured on the Nindies Direct, but was Lumo. Lumo, which we talked about Solstice for the Nintendo Entertainment System on, I think, the last episode or 2 episodes ago. It looks like an updated Solstice, and that one I am really excited for. Again, that's a must-buy for me, Lumo. If you like isometric games where you're a little wizard running around doing cool things, check out Lumo. But,
cool things.
Yes.
Got it.
Yep.
All right, moving on here. There's a quick story. Again, IGN reported this about how some Switch games, even if you buy the physical cartridge, may still require you to use some of your memory card space on the Switch itself. So, I mean, make that part of your plan. If you haven't bought an SD card for your Switch, you're probably going to want one.
Yep.
Just down the line, just because games are big and those cartridges are, it saves the developer some money, I guess, in the end, to not have to put everything on, get a giant cartridge, whatever.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. All right, and then Mario Cross Rabbids Kingdom Battles is out, and you got to check it out.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I've watched a number of LP videos on it, and when this game was announced, what was it? Maybe it was fairly recent that it was first announced, wasn't it?
Well, it was rumored before E3, like crazy, like hardly worst kept secret in the world.
I think the first I read about it was maybe in May. But anyways, it was because when I read about it, it was like it had gone past like the rumor cycle of like, is this an April Fool's joke kind of thing? And then I'm pretty sure this is happening, and then seeing it at E3, and now it's out already. Like that's a great turnaround for an announcement and then building up hype, especially with something that people might be tentative about. But this game, when I first heard about it, it's everything that I want in a new IP, quote unquote new IP. It's I loved the first XCOM game, which was like 98 or 99 when that came out, and the fact that you get to do Mario and XCOM in one game, the LPs I've seen of it, I haven't bought it yet because money issues. So
right.
had a car repair, and then so I'll be getting that probably in the next paycheck cycle. That game it's beautiful, and some of the sound effects seemed like they were used a little too much. That was my only complaint. But other than that, it looks great. It feels like it looks like it's going to play great. I've heard a lot of friends rave about it. But the videos I've watched,
see what you did there.
Yeah. Yep.
Raving.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So your coffee's working well this morning.
My non-coffee. Yeah. No, it's cool. It's gotten a lot of great reviews. I'm happy for it.
Yep.
You know, I thought it was going to be a big disaster when I first heard about it, but and when it was finally revealed, I was still a little bit skeptical, but it's turned out to be a great success story, especially for Ubisoft, and so good for them.
I will quickly say that I'm a little bit leery of Nintendo. I think they might have stolen my idea on this because I emailed them back in the day before, like right around the time I was looking for a teaching job, and I was just fresh out of college, and I'm like, okay, I need a job. I'm going to email Nintendo and say, hey, would you take someone with a music ed degree in creative for you guys? But I was just like, whatever. Here's a couple of video game ideas, and use them, and just give me 10% of the royalties. But
there you go.
It was a late night. But basically, I said I want a Mario XCOM game, and I want a Mario Galaxy style tower defense game, and which would be fantastic. Towers with all the the power ups of Mario games, and nice. You have playable heroes running around, jumping on the Goombas that are encroaching on whatever. But so Mario, Nintendo, you did steal my idea, but that's okay. I'm glad it finally happened.
So I've got about 7 minutes here. So what I'm thinking is we can go through real quickly what we've been playing, talk about a thing or two from Zelda, and I think we'll push the soundtrack review back to next time, because I do want to really give some proper time to that.
Yeah.
Because I think for the listeners, it's For the Book of Unwritten Tales, which if you haven't played it, it's one of the best adventure games of the last 10 or 15 years, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack is just phenomenal. So I really want to be able to go into more depth about that. So we apologize. We'll definitely be on time next week, and we'll make sure we have a decent amount of time to go through that. What we've been playing. I have been playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. How about that?
Really? Did that come out yet?
I got a pre-release a little bit early.
Cool, man.
Yeah, I can tell you, I'm under embargo right now, but I can tell you it's
all right.
Pretty okay.
All right. I didn't sign an NDA, so I can talk about it. I got to.
Right. There you go. So yes, I've been playing some Zelda. It's obviously still amazing. Still working through some puzzles in the Gerudo area. Refusing to go to the Gerudo Divine Beast until I get the sand boots. Haven't figured that out yet. But there's I'm still just sitting on it and still working on it. I think I said that last time we recorded, but it's tough. I'm trying to do a lot of things at once. And then I played a little bit of still been playing some Lego City Undercover. And the Phoenix Wright, which I think I've been mentioning the last couple of days. I'm getting towards the end of Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton. That game is fantastic. It's basically a novel. It's really long. I'm close to 40 hours, I think. But it's just really engaging. Music is fantastic. Definitely play it if you haven't. And then the last week or so, for my PlayStation 4, I know this is a Nintendo podcast, but I've been playing Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which all Uncharted games are fantastic. So you can't go wrong with that. So
yeah. For me, I've been playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, and still kind of just that. Whenever I can play a game right now, I sit down and I'm like, okay, I've got these ones and this one, but there's Zelda, so I go back to playing Zelda, and
there's so much content. So
I'm 125 hours in.
Ooh, you passed me.
Yeah, it's
nice.
Is that sad?
Yeah.
Right.
I've had mine since March. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's man, there's so much to do in it. There's so many good things, and I even at 125 hours in, I'm finding areas of the map where I'm like, oh, I've been here before. No, wait, never mind. I have never been here before. How is this possible?
Right.
It's an amazing game. And if you're listening to this and you haven't played it, what is your problem?
What is your deal?
Come on. Get
Even
with
if you
it.
don't have a Switch, buy it. Well, I don't know. See, that's the thing. I would almost say play it on Wii U, but man, it's so much better on the Switch.
If you buy a Switch and you just buy Breath of the Wild, it's worth it.
Validated purchase,
It's
yeah.
absolutely worth it. Price per hour of entertainment you're going to get out of it is going to be pennies. There's just so much you can do with it. So,
Yep.
oh,
Totally.
man. Yeah.
Play it. And speaking of Zelda, we've got at least I don't know if you do, but I've got a couple of quick stories of Tales from the Wild. Just some crazy things that happened to me this week when I was playing, or recently. You may be familiar with the perfect parry, the
Yes.
technique that you can use to push back against enemies. I learned how to do it for real.
Nice.
I apparently had been doing it wrong for 100 hours. And
Oh, wow.
couldn't figure out why it never actually worked.
Okay.
Okay, but here's the problem though, right? You learn all of these skills in the Shrine by Kakariko Village very early on in the game. You get one chance, and you can't go back and do it if you don't forget. For the probably first 50, 60 hours of the game, I avoided combat as much as possible.
Sure.
Just because I had like 3 hearts, and I would die usually.
Right.
And so I just never used it, and so I was like, oh, I'll come back and review this later when I'm more interested in killing enemies. And that just never really came around. And then when I did finally go back, they don't let you fight the guy again. They don't show you the skills. So I was kind of going around, and so I was assuming what I had to do the perfect parry was to pull my shield out at that correct moment. You push the L button.
Right.
Which I believe is how it worked in like Twilight Princess or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's what I was thinking. Turns out that's not the case when I accidentally pushed A when I had my shield out one time. And sure enough, that's the perfect parry. And I was like, I cannot believe I've been playing this game for so long and done it wrong this whole time. So now I know how to do it, and now I'm getting pretty good at it, actually.
Nice.
And the second thing, I loved this. So there's the thing where you can you can call your horse to you. You take in a horse at the stables, and then you have him, and then you can call him to you, which is fantastic. You're all familiar with Lord of the Rings. One of my, if not my very favorite movie ever. I believe it's in Two Towers. There's a scene where they're fighting some wargs, and Legolas is trying to get on this one horse that's running right at him, and he does this sweet move where he grabs the top of the mane and leaps up in a spinning, swooping around, jump. You can do that in Breath of the Wild.
I know.
It just runs. He runs right at you, and I just I wonder if I could. Yep. And it looks. I'm sure that was the inspiration for it. Well, I would assume.
Yeah.
It just looks so perfectly just like that, and I felt so cool. And you just keep going, man.
That for me, and my other favorite way to get on a horse is to parasail down onto one and just land right on the horse. I just imagine how surprised that horse must be. But if you got 100% bond with that horse, it's like it just knows you are in its saddle. But speaking of horses, for me, my cool spoiler-free moment, because it's introduced right off the Great Plateau at the closest stable, is getting the horse that Zelda had, the descendant of the horse that Zelda had, or whatever, the white horse.
Okay.
You need a lot of stamina, but I did get it, and it was sweet. I've got a stable of horses that are great for each any specific thing I might need, and then there's also have you gotten the big horse yet?
No.
I'm not. I'm just gonna say there's a big horse.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, we got to move on. In fact, that's basically our show. We will again. I promise we'll do more next time, which will be in about a week and a half or so. If you would, we would love if you would go on iTunes and find our show and give us a rating. That helps the show get some visibility. You can go on our YouTube channel, Nintendo Director's YouTube channel, and you can see these episodes there. You can visit us on Twitter at @N_Directors. And if you want to be part of the show, send in your comments, questions, or anything else you want to say to Nintendo Directors Podcast at gmail.com. Any other thoughts, Mark?
No, it's kind of a shorter episode for us a little bit. And maybe there will be one more like this through the month of October. Brad and I, again, we're both band directors, and this is marching band, like heavy, like really heavy marching band time.
Which is where I have to be heading,
yeah. Yep. And then once, hopefully we can get through this time with normal episodes from now on, but just bear with us until November hits, and then we'll be back absolutely running normal, so...
Yeah, we may even have some special guests somewhere down the line.
Yeah, that's true. There are plenty of band directors that love video games because people love video games, and band directors are people. Students, remember
Sometimes.
that. Band directors are people too. So.
That's right.
All right.
All right, well, thank you so much for listening. We will see you in a couple weeks.
All right, take care. Bye.